Шановні колеги, до слова запрошується речник Міністерства оборони України з питань АТО, полковник Андрій Lysenko.
Доброго дня, шановні
Colonel Andriy Lysenko, good afternoon, dear colleagues. The events that took place in the ATO area in the last 24 hours, military actions in Lugan direction yesterday were especially active in Popasnyansky district. The band started provoking our military immediately after midnight, starting to fire from the machine guns. After a quiet morning after lunch, the enemy continued shelling at Ukrainian positions in Novozvanivka from ICV weaponry and machine guns. About 5 p.m., the occupants opened fire from mortars in Troitske. Until the end of the day, launched 20 mines. Finally, in the rest of the front sections, besides Krymske, it was quiet. In Krymske, in the daytime, there was one military enemy's provocation with using the grenade launchers. Yesterday, in Lugansk direction, there were total 15 enemy's shellings, half of them from mortars. In Donetsk direction, there were no quiet sections of the front last 24 hours. In Lugansk, which is in Svetlodarskach, in the daytime, the militants were shelling at our positions from small arms. After the sunset, the occupants used the ICV's weapons. One of the shellings lasted for 3 hours. It was difficult. There was a difficult situation in Zaitsevo to the north of occupied Gorlivka. The military actions were taking place in the morning, in the daytime, and at night. The militants were massively shelling from mortars at Ukrainian positions. According to the General Headquarters of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, yesterday the enemy launched about 100 mines of different caliber. In Novgorodsk, after midnight, the enemy sniper shelled at our positions. There, after 7 p.m., the enemy organized one not long armed provocation. In Avdiivka, the military actions got intensified. In total, the bands were shelling at the industrial zone for more than 10 hours. Almost every case of violation was accompanied by use of the mortars of Russian occupational forces. After the sunset, the enemy opened fire from tanks that are located at the front line, despite Minsk agreements. Yesterday, the militants launched at the positions of our defenders in Avdiivka 80 mortar mines and about 20 tank shells. Today at night, the militants shelled at Donetsk filtration unit, and the result of that, it stopped operating. The citizens of Avdiivka are without water now. Yesterday, Ukrainian positions near Avdiivka and Kamenka and Shakhta Butovka were shelled at. There the enemy was using the mortars together with the light arms. Near Donetsk airport it was not quiet at the positions of ATO forces in Piski. In total, during the last 24 hours in Donetsk direction, 31 enemy shellings were registered. Most of them were from heavy weaponry. Mariupolsky direction, there the geography of military actions has expanded. It's not quiet all along the front line. In Krasnogorivka, Novotroitska, Taramchuk, Shirokina, the occupants were using mortars. Almost always the shelling from mortars was accompanied by fire from light weapons. As usual, the occupants are shelling before dawn and after the sunset. In the dark time of the day, almost 85% of all armed incidents happen.
The biggest number of enemy shellings was registered in Gnutovo and Shirokina villages. Ukrainian troops opened fire in response. In result of the barbarian shellings in Vodane, the village is practically ruined. All the buildings and houses and many fruit trees were damaged with shells. almost all the civilian population had quit the city. In general, near Mariupol yesterday, there were 37 enemy shellings, and out of them 4 from heavy weaponry. More than 42 mines were launched over our positions during the last 24 hours. In result of combat activities, 1 serviceman was killed and 2 more were wounded. Also, yesterday in the Dnipro City Hospital, Ukrainian officer who was heavily injured 2 days ago died in result of that of the wounds. We express our sympathy to the family and friends of servicemen who gave their lives for Ukraine. Information from the military reconnaissance during the last 24 hours celebrating the Day of Russian Army, the militants en masse used alcohol and drugs, even staying in the military service, and they opened fire against each other. In result of such a friendly fire, 3 militants were killed and 11 were wounded. These days, a young officer from Ukrainian armed forces called Stanislav had targeted the enemy's infantry armored vehicle from the anti-tank launcher, and in result of this fire, it blew up and was fired. This happened near Donetsk. Also, SBU services had had found the storage of aviation missiles near Svatovo in Lugansk region. At the front line near Avdiivka, the Russian fire launcher was found. The militants left them in result of strike with the ATO forces. Such fire launchers belong to Russian army. They are produced in Russia, and they are convincing proof and evidence of the intentional support of legal-based formations by Russia. From such a fire launcher, Mikhailo Tolstych, famous militant, was killed. In Donetsk, border guard detachment special training, missile training was held. In Novotroitsk, via Novotroitsk checkpoint, 23 trucks directed from the High Commissioner on the migrants had crossed the checkpoint carrying 280 tons of food for Donetsk residents. Thank you very much. Since there are no questions, we finish this briefing. Next event will be at 1 p.m.